Alright, we're going to go ahead and get started. We've got a few things to go over first. First of all, if you could all put your phones on airplane mode or turn them off so it doesn't interfere with the video equipment. Also, we're going to be really tightly packed today. So if you're on an aisle seat, please do not bump your chair into the aisles. It's a fire code thing. We have to make sure we have clear exits. Also, that being said, if during the time we're giving out samples, and please don't get up unless you're asked to. We're going to have too many people running around. Also, if you've got an empty seat next to you and you're not holding it for someone, please make sure to scoot down for people to make room. We got coffee in the back along with tea and hot chocolate. Our central island over here has our raffle like we always do, and today we'll be giving away 4 $25 gift cards to Jack Sprat.
Ooh, yeah.
And then also on the table where the raffle is, we have the recipe. And make sure to check out on the back side of the recipe. Frans has been nice enough to put on some health benefits to coconut oil. We also have Frans's bio back there. He also brought in some menus and some business cards, so please pick those up. Also, over by Alicia, we have some books for sale. Benefits of Cooking with Coconut Oil. There's on sale for $20. Just put $20 in the little beer stein, and you can have one of the books. And then I'm going to go ahead and let Frans take it away.
All right. Well, I want you to eat some popcorn first, so I'm going to tell you to get up and get some popcorn. I'm serious. Who wants popcorn? I mean, it's only 10 in the morning, right?
Yeah. I always have
There you go.
I'll pass it down. It's going to organize it.
I dropped it.
Cooked in coconut. Okay, so I'm already getting questions. I might as well tell you. I'm cooking with coconut oil today, and that's what I was doing here, so I didn't bore you by just standing here and cooking popcorn. Well, you know, not much to say. But I don't use microwave popcorn. I just always do it on the stovetop, and I'm pretty good about getting all the kernels popped. I don't know, for some reason. There's some in there. I didn't do my best. It was probably the pressure of all these people.
That's why we're watching.
Yeah, it's usually late at night, you know.
We'll get it out there.
Okay, so it was cooked in coconut oil, this stuff right here, and then I topped it with some extra virgin olive oil in place of butter, and then I just used some sea salt, and that was it. So you can fool your friends, I think, into thinking it's buttery popcorn, because I think this tastes like butter, depending how much you use. So hopefully you like it.
It's very good.
Yeah. My wife says I make the best popcorn, so I thought I'd share it with you. It's extremely simple, but
She's required to say that.
the point of this class is how we... I didn't do it.
You didn't do it?
No.
Oh.
How we can substitute oils for better oils. So, and as you can see, this is solid. Okay.
Is there a difference between extra virgin coconut oil and non-extra virgin coconut oil?
Yep. There's a difference between the labeling, and I can get into some of that. But first off, The reason it's better. Why am I standing here saying this is better? I mean, I don't have stock in this. I'm not selling this. Use it in my restaurant. And these are just my opinions. People take health claims very seriously, so I'll just say this is just what I've discovered on my own. And you can do your own research. I always encourage you to do your own research. Coconut oil has got a bad rap over many, many decades. And we're going to try to talk about that a little bit. It's 90% saturated fat. And we've all been told that saturated fat is terrible for you. But not all fats are not created equal. And this one contains what's called lauric acid. And the vast majority of it is this fatty acid. When you consume it, it does great things in your body. It's the same stuff that's in mother's milk. So babies that don't have mother's milk in the hospital have some sort of formula that has coconut oil in it. And when you're old and sick and you're in the hospital, they give you sometimes coconut oil because it has these essential fatty acids that you need. But somewhere in the middle there, when we're all living and trying to be healthy, this gets a bad rap. And I've pretty much discovered two reasons for that. And both are based on the vegetable oil industry. Okay? Marketing. And sometimes I love marketing and they get those cool commercials, and other times I hate it. Because it is about money. Okay? And the first instance I could find was back in World War II times when embargoes were set on Malaysian countries and Indonesia, where most of the coconut oil was coming out of. So the trade stopped. And therefore, vegetable oils gained more of a market share. After the war, vegetable oil didn't necessarily want to give back that market share, even though we could import coconuts and coconut oil again. So what do? You start smearing it and you say, well, it's full of saturated fat and it's bad for you and you don't want to eat that. And that's what we've heard for a couple generations now. The other instance was in the 80s and 90s when the saturated fat really was put in the media as being terrible because cholesterol is bad and it clogs your arteries, and cholesterol comes from saturated fat. Now I'm not a scientist, I just started cooking with this, so I tried to do some research. But this saturated fat is different than other fats that are monosaturated and polysaturated, where this one has all its hydrogen molecules attached to the carbon dual bond chain. When you have hydrogenated oils, like I was poking around here, okay, this stuff, oil will burn if overheated. Soybean oil, these guys are pretty much the culprits of saying that this is better than this. And this is what we've been cooking and frying with. But this is hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated, which means it's missing some of those hydrogen molecules. So they'll heat it to great degrees and then centrifuge it to try to insert those hydrogen molecules. And part of the reason for that is because it's not a solid, and this naturally is. When it's solid, you can transport it, it lasts longer, and with marketing and money, that is important. You have a huge country to serve and a world, and you want everyone to buy your product. Well, if you can stabilize that and ship it all over the place, then you're going to make more money. So that's where the hydrogenation process came in. But I always go back to, what did we eat for millions of years? And we didn't have centrifugal factories and things like that. So I kind of go back to the basis, and that's why I started to get drawn to this oil, because it's basically in its natural form. It can be slightly heated, although this one is cold pressed, and same with olive oils. I try to look for cold pressed, things that are more naturally to their origin. That way our bodies, which have evolved for millions of years, can also recognize it. When you start putting things in your body that can't recognize, like hydrogenated oils and these types of fats, then we start storing them instead of using them from energy. So the main difference is this one will not be stored, this will turn into energy. And So start cooking with it. We've been cooking our fish with it at the restaurant. We've been making desserts with it. So it's one of the good fats. Not all fats are created equal, like I said. So I don't know if I explained that very well, but I'm still learning.
I have a question.
Yes.
How about, what kind of temperature will it take? Like, we've been converted to avocado oil, which doesn't make any smoke, hardly. So where would this be on
Interesting,
the,
yeah.
bacon
About 350 to 400, I find. You can get it pretty hot.
compared to something else, I mean?
Olive oil, about 120.
Okay.
Okay, so this has a lower smoke point. Coconut oil is higher smoke point, which, as I said earlier, when you heat things, it kind of breaks things down, and you lose the health properties of it, generally speaking. I mean, that's what heat does. So you don't want to heat things for a real long time, but things taste good when they're heated. I mean, bacon's not good just raw. You know? Onions, you want to caramelize. It brings out the sugars. You know, cooking is fun, and that's why we do it, but we can make different choices. That's why I chose to cook with this, which is good for higher heats, and it won't turn into, it won't break down. And this one just for coating and salad dressings and, you know, refined stuff. So, yeah, we've been drawn to this also because it's a medium chain fatty acid. So there's also a difference with fats and how long that chain of carbon and hydrogen molecules is. You can absorb this and digest it easier because it's short to medium chain versus a long chain. And that's also a health property of that. So my plan today is to sear some fish and also make some pudding out of this stuff. But first I want to show you these. So here's a coconut. This has been all the rough stuff taken off, and it comes in a package. I get them by the case sometimes, like this. Alright. And they come in varying sizes. Look how much bigger that one is, you know. Should pick that one off the shelf if you see it.
Does that have plastic around it, or is that there's some plastic around it?
Yeah, so there's a little bit of plastic on them for packaging. Because these did come from far away. I say eat local, but this one is one of those things, you know. Huh? Well, it's warming up out there.
What's the shelf life on that product?
So what I found is it doesn't turn rancid or oxidize very easily anyway. So it's in a solid state, and that's why it's already...
I mean the coconut.
Oh, these will age. This is considered a young Thai coconut, Thailand. When you get those hard ones in the store that are coated in the brown shell, like Gilligan's Island style, yeah, that's an older coconut, and that's where they'll shred the coconut or make more cosmetic stuff with. So these are the ones you want to eat. You can eat the other ones, but the water may not be as sweet. And
My point would be, you
What?
order a case.
yeah.
The case is too much for a family. What's the shelf life?
Oh, it's not too much. You eat one of these a day. Yeah. No, see, I have ulterior motives to talk about these because they're pretty. It's hard to get them now. So if you guys see these in the stores will say, "Oh yeah, let's get some more of those," and then I'll get more. And what's great is this is in Costco now, 78 fluid ounces. And this used to be really expensive, but Costco has this plan where all their stores share the shipping. So even up here, we basically pay the same prices as down there. So we're getting this for a steal compared to what the little jars cost.
Once you open it, and you leave it on the shelf, or do you put it in the refrigerator?
It should be refrigerated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coconut or the oil?
The coconut. The oil is stable. And that's another reason it's so great for shipping worldwide. You know, instead of going through this centrifuge process of hydrogenation, it's already there naturally. You know? So, I'm going to open one of these for you. Yeah. Alright, so there's a few ways to do this. Obviously, there's different ways. Some people use a drill, and then they'll put a straw in it, a little umbrella. You know. But I just like to chop it, you know, and I just make a few incisions and then pop the top off, and they're always different. Sometimes the shell comes right off, sometimes it sticks. Sometimes the water goes everywhere. But this is the basic way. If you're confident with your knife, you're just gonna whack it. And if you didn't quite get it, you might have to go back.
Excuse me, could I ask you to move the coconut oil?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, I can't see your perspective, so I told him to put you on bar stools. Of course, it's not going to go smooth when everybody's watching. So this has a pretty thick husk.
Is that how they grow on a tree?
Well, they grow in that big fur ball kind of.
It's been taken off.
Yeah, and then the people they take their machete and they hack it down to this point for this kind of. There's like 100 different kinds of coconut. You know, this is an amazing plant. It can float at sea for over 6 months, you know, and then sprout a tree, and then it's called the tree of life, right? I mean, you could build your house from the wood. You can eat this and have all, you know, most of your nutrition from that. You can tap it and get sap out of it and get your sweeteners. You can build your boat and go fishing, all kinds of stuff. Sit in the front row. Okay, so it's usually not this hard. I'm going to show you another one because this one's a little difficult. It's being difficult. But like I said, they're all a little different, and I'm going to show you another way to do this too that you may feel more comfortable with than just hacking away.
Are they sold by the pound or the piece?
Usually by the each, yeah. Yep. So here's a piece of the meat. Nice. That's just a piece of shit. All right, meat. And need a container here. Actually, do this the other way. Yeah, well, that one was good. 2 cups of water. Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones inserts this as blood plasma. And that's a pretty common practice. It has the same composition. It's delicious. Okay, then you're left with this, right? Just the meat. And you just got to be careful to not get some of the shell in there, but these young ones aren't very hard. Those older ones will be hard, and that's why they're better for shredding and cosmetics and stuff. But I just get it started here with the side of the spoon and work my way around the top. Yep. And then you get these pieces. It's no worse than scooping ice cream. But
Wow.
that.
And then you make a bird house.
Yep, I'm just going to throw it away unless anybody wants it. Okay, so that's at least a cup of meat, a couple cups of water, and this is all that coconut milk is blending the two together. Just a lid.
Sit in the front row, it's got
It almost got real exciting. That's it. So see the coconut milk? There it is.
Oh, you can buy coconut milk. I buy it at the store. You can. I don't know. And it is one each. I mean, it's one coconut.
Okay. Okay, so another way to open these, you can see, you could just start shaving the top off more. Oh, just a container, but I can use that. Yep. And you get to the shell. So everybody can do that, right?
Yes.
And then you can just kind of, even with the back of the knife, just okay. Pretty easy, right? Yep. And sometimes this comes off with the top, and sometimes it doesn't. If it doesn't, just even a butter knife will cut through that. And then you get more water. It comes in its own vessel. It's great. And these two coconuts look the same so far, except the size of it. But sometimes you'll have more of a gelatinous inside. Sometimes it'll be pink. Some people say it's good. It doesn't really matter. There's just varying age, I guess, and different varieties. So, yeah, at first I used to be like, oh, this one might be bad, but it's not. I don't think, maybe once I got a bad one, but
How do you know it's bad?
it's just kind of rancid, you know. Probably,
You smell it?
yeah, probably there's a crack in it and it got oxidized. So, but typically this is a perfectly sealed container. And again, you just want to watch out for these pieces because that won't taste good. Okay, so my plan is to make a pudding out of this. I just need a little more meat. Does anyone feel brave to hack open a coconut? Yeah.
So is there a place in Anchorage that you can buy the young ones?
Yep, these are from New Sagaya. I've seen them at Cars even. Huh?
Amazon?
Yeah, you can get anything on the internet. If you're willing to pay the shipping. I think I've seen them at National Pantry. If they don't, they should. So my favorite way, bam, just get a good hack. I'm not going to hit my hand because it's way over here. The coconut's in the way. Just do it.
I'm not even going anywhere near that.
So maybe you like the shaving way better.
Yeah.
Well, this is a good batch of coconuts.
This is what good.
Yeah, look, real thick skin. Lots of water.
It has much more water.
Sometimes they have more, sometimes less.
Well, it's a thicker one than the other one.
I should have gone for a bigger opening to get this. But once you get the hang of it, it's really not bad. And I think it just tastes so good, it's worth a little bit of effort.
I'll bring mine to you.
Well, that's my plan. Yeah, so I'll start buying coconuts. I can serve them at the restaurant. about a half of one of these, the meat is about the same as 3 tablespoons of the oil. Okay, so this meat contains about 33% of the coconut oil, and that's how they make it. They press it and get it out. And apparently that's where all the health benefits are. Although this meat also is high in fiber, where cabbage and broccoli are like 2 to 3% or grams of fiber, 2 to 3 grams. This has 9 grams. Kept the natives regular. All right, let's try that. So I'm going to add a little more meat than liquid, at least to start, because I'm trying to make a pudding out of this. What else did I put in this? I just made this. I put in raw chocolate powder, cacao. This is the cacao tree. We went over this last time. Not heated, again, very close to the source, because they're not heating it up like Dutch processed chocolate, which in turn, when you heat things, it kind of takes away some of the health properties. So this is just regular ground up chocolate from the cacao tree bean, and another amazing plant. Highest source of magnesium that researchers can find, and lots of other vitamins and minerals and amino acids. So pretty awesome stuff.
And where did you purchase that?
Amazon.
I was hoping maybe Costco.
But if you all start getting it, they'll pay attention. And this comes in different forms too. The nib form is just the broken up pieces, right, of the bean. These were very popular in Aztec times. These beans were traded. You know, the cacao bean was money. Montezuma's time, you know, and the beauty of that was ingenious. They go bad after about 3 years, so you had to keep your money circulating. So when the Spanish showed up and they saw some natives like drop a bunch of them and everybody scrambling for them, they were like, "What the heck's going on?" And that was their money. They drank a lot of cocoa drinks, and they were very healthy. And just like with the coconut, you know, if you look at traditional diets in the South Pacific and the Philippines and Indonesia that don't veer from that, they eat a lot of coconut. That's the one kind of common ground, like staple. Yeah, they're all eating coconuts in traditional diets, and they don't have heart disease, and they don't have diabetes, and they don't know what all these Western diseases are. As soon as they start introducing the vegetable oils that we're promoting as a country, things start going downhill. So that's what I found out. I also brought a ton of agave. Got to buy in bulk. This is one of my sweeteners of choice. It's low glycemic on the index. You just need to try to find organic and a good source, because there's some controversy about whether it's heated, and if it's, I don't know, high fructose corn syrup, it's got to be better than that. So I just think it's from a cactus, you know, it's from the root, and it's heated minimally, I think, to just extract it. But that's my sweetener of choice. Also found this in my cupboard, some coconut nectar. This is what you get when you don't let it go to the fruit of the coconut tree, or the palm tree. You tap it, and then it's similar to like a maple syrup, but more caramely. And so I've had this a long time. They show waffles, but you can see it's dark in color. And this is similar to maple syrup, like I said, where it's heat it a little bit to reduce it down, get the moisture out so it becomes a sap. But there's other forms of it.
Is that the same?
This would be coconut crystals, and that's the same thing, just in a different form. And the difference in color here is that this is the granule, how it came in the package, but I ground it down in a coffee maker to make it smoother for my experiments. So it's just smoother. I don't like that grainy taste in chocolate and stuff, so that's a little smoother. So without you watching, I added 3 different sweeteners. It makes it more complex, I think, when you add more than one. I'm adding a little vanilla extract. I also usually like to use the beans, you know, but I'm not going to bore you with that because I got salmon to fillet here.
Can I ask how you would use the bean though? Would you stick it directly in there, or do you have to extract
You
it?
could, because this would blend it up, you know,
Okay.
and you could, but ideally, oh, this one's actually cut in half. I only used half for something. You slice it in half, and then this is all the vanilla seed. Yeah, that's the bean part.
Okay.
So you can throw some of that. That's what you see in your creme brulee when there's little specks there.
So not the pot itself.
Then you know you're having a good creme brulee. I'm using the real deal.
Right.
Yep. All right, what else? A little bit of salt brings out some flavor. This is some pink salt. And coconut oil. All right. So the reason I use this in desserts, especially when I'm not baking them, is because it's solid at 75 degrees below, and then it's liquid at 76 and above. So you can slightly warm it up, and then when you chill your dessert, it will harden. So when you're making a pudding or something, it's good. Plus, some people say that if you take 3 to 4 tablespoons of this stuff a day, somehow in your diet, you're going to see the benefits of that. So if you mix it in with cooking and into some dessert, not only will it taste good and make it creamy and then help you to solidify whatever you're creating, it's supposed to be good for you. So I'm going to blend this real quick.
Do we do avocado?
Oh, I'll get there. So I could have liquefied or at least warmed up the coconut oil, but this blending process will also do the same thing. It depends how much you use. If you're going to use a lot like we do with our raw cheesecake at the shop, then we will warm it in a dehydrator at a very low temperature, add it to our mix of, which is a cashew base for a cheesecake, and then it sets in the fridge. And I did that at the last class, so some of you remember. Did anyone make it? Yes? How'd it come out?
Awesome.
Yeah? Your family was happy? How was yours?
Very good.
Yeah. You fooled some people into thinking they were eating cheese?
Well, I told them that's I brought
Yeah.
it to your house.
Yeah, it was delicious.
It's amazing the cashews taste like cheese when you blend them up. Really creamy. So avocado, this is a good way to trick your kids into eating something green in a sweet form, and you're not even really going to notice it there. And this also will help it thicken up. I mean, you could drink this right now, have no problem with that. But like I said, I'm trying to make a pudding. Sides once. You can see it's already pretty thick. Yeah. So let's recap. There's coconut water in there, coconut meat from a real coconut, coconut oil from a real coconut, avocados, coconut sugar, coconut sap. What else I put in there? Vanilla, a little vanilla bean, and agave nectar, sea salt, and chocolate. Yeah.
You ever put chia seeds in there?
Chia would be another good emulsifier, kind of like because they would. Chia is kind of fun because you could blend it in here. If you put it in dry, it would absorb some of the moisture because it absorbs like 3 to 1. So yeah, you could make something thicker that way. Trick your kids again.
Just a base without the coconut and add mango or fruit or
Sky's the
banana,
limit.
everything,
Yep.
okay.
Pretty good. I like it a little sweeter. I know you do too, so. Go for yeah, but you might not notice it in something like this.
Do they just color it, or what makes it pink?
Oh, it's from part of the world that this is how it dries. Yeah, this is called Himalayan pink salt. Yeah, just like coconuts, there's 100 different kinds of salt. Really good book is The History of Salt. And it goes into the political side of things and how salt was also traded for money, your worth in salt. That's where that comes from. People used to get paid in salt. And another product that, boy, we invented all these fancy things and we started taking the vitamins and minerals out of salt and then putting iodine back in, and it's just all backwards. I mean, just go to the salt field and it's right there for you. That's all you need. You don't need to. You got to weed through some of the stuff where all these researchers are saying, you know, this is bad and that's good. And I mean, you could go search coconut oil right now and you'll get 10 different viewpoints. But you got to do your own research, and I think it tastes good and I feel good after it. And if you look at the traditional methods of a lot of these products, salt, coconuts, chocolate, they're not altering it very much at least. Some more coconut water. And you see that on the shelves everywhere now too, don't you?
Right, yeah.
Just be careful. A lot of it is pasteurized, so it's heated. It's still good, but it's not as good as some of the products out there. You can buy just straight coconut water or coconut milk. And if it's from these kinds of coconuts that are still young and flavorful, it'll taste awesome. So, yes?
If you're trying to substitute the agave for sugar, is it 1-to-1?
No, you can use less.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, with some of these natural sweeteners, you can use less.
Last time when we had the cheesecake, you introduced a yacon syrup. I don't know.
Oh, the yacon syrup?
Is that anything that you put in here this time?
I didn't, but it's similar in color to the coconut sap. It's just a different plant. This is called Coconut Nectar by Coconut Secret. But yeah, the yacon is similar to agave in that it's a root of a cactus that they get the sap out of, and then reduce it so the moisture content comes out and it becomes syrupy. So
Because was really hard to get
It's very hard to get, but you found it.
at Natural Pantry.
Oh, good.
But it took me several months.
You're helping them build the store. Great. All right. Does anybody know how many people we have here? No. I was hoping for some help just portioning these up. And it's really good right now, but it's even better slightly chilled. So we're going to chill it and make you wait. And we're going to have our main course of salmon first.
How many servings is the recipe as it stands?
One. Depends how generous you are. That recipe made, I don't know, 3 cups. Depending how much you get out of the coconut.
Yeah.
Sean, where'd he go? You need those portions.
Smoke break.
So do you have any indication what the calorie count is on a cup of that?
No.
I mean, it's probably high, right?
It's probably high, but
It's a good high.
it's a good high. You can't eat dessert all day. I mean, you shouldn't be just eating coconut oil. You got to vary your diet. But I could argue that you start your day with something like this versus some heavy animal products and things. You might feel a little leaner and charge up the hill a little faster. But again, that's my own opinion. Yeah. You know where some more of those things are? Good.
How many days can you store this?
What's that?
How many days can you store this? How fast, I mean, how many days would it keep in the refrigerator?
Oh, probably up to a week, but probably want to eat it. Probably won't last that long, I guess.
Is there any way to get a copy of this cheesecake you keep talking about?
I might do another class at Jack Sprat. We've had a lot of requests. People want to see that. So,
Well, you were saying just no cheese, right?
no cheese cheesecake. Yep, that's one of our top dessert sellers because we like to offer decadent and then extreme other side of.
Well, I have a family member with a brand new allergy to anything dairy, so my
Yeah.
ears are hurt too.
Yeah, and they get discouraged. I can't eat anything. I can't go out. So that's why it's been really popular. And those types of things aren't on the decline. Those are on the rise. So allergies in general, which I should mention, this is not a seed nor a nut. So tree allergies are not susceptible to this. It's more like a seed, I guess, because it can float around and then sprout a tree. But it's kind of on its own.
So how do we know when you're going to teach a class out at Jack Sprat?
Just email me. I'm trying to set a date for sometime soon. Thank you.
Did you count, Lisa? Did you count yet? How many people we got here? 70? We guesstimating at 70. So let's see, what is that? 4. Five of this one?
On your cooking class, that's it.
I don't know.
When you have your cooking class in the restaurant, it's
7 by 4. No, 6 by 4.
No, I usually just do a daytime in the solarium
Okay,
or the
that's what I
minium
was
and then
coming.
just
But it's just one thing that you show, or is it like a whole?
Usually one concept. This is a little different kind of class. I'm doing 3 different totally non-connected things, but they're all connected by the one cooking oil. So that's where I went with this. But, yeah, if I did the cheesecake class, I'd show you the basic recipe, and then you could adjust it from there with any kinds of fruits and flavorings you want.
So it's not, is it a fee?
Yeah, because it's really expensive stuff. All this stuff comes from the equator, and we're shipping it up, and you know, cashews are not cheap, and that's the main part of it. We're also making homemade almond milk that goes in there, and blending that. So, yeah, it's a process.
There's a mesh bag.
That'll be in your.
Yeah. Right now we're just trying to open the outdoor deck, which is, there's a beautiful day at Alyeska Ski Resort today. There's a little bit of snow, sugar topping on the ski runs. It's been sunny for weeks, which is so rare. And yeah, the skiers have been out, so we've been busy. Yeah, somebody finally figured out we take reservations. Still need to fill those?
You know, any of those, some more
Oh, yeah, it was. Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah.
So who paid really good attention so you can make more because we ran out?
You used this, I know that.
You did? Oh yeah, that's one of those. All right. Come on, Robert. You're from Hawaii? You grew up on these?
Oh, believe me, yes.
Yeah? Did you eat them every day?
Whenever we're out playing around,
Yeah. You just
we
find
go
them?
there, find them, crack them open. We love the juice,
Yeah.
especially on a hot day, hot sunny day in Hawaii. You know, nice coconut juice is
Who's
perfect.
baiting you? We need some.
And then you just toss the meat?
No, we don't toss. We scoop it. You know, we do the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, we get the spoon and we just kind of do that and eat. Fresh coconut is pretty awesome. I mean,
Robert, why don't you do a beach class? We'll meet you.
a beach class?
What was your method to open them up?
Well, we get the big cane knife and just kind of did what you actually did. On there. Just cut it open. But back to the salt. If you guys ever get the chance to go to Hawaii, go to Kauai, and there's a place called the Salt Ponds. And I tell you what, I born and raised there, and I went there for the first time, and it was very, very interesting. But don't ask them if you can buy it. I think that'll just ruin your whole day, because it's like you said, it's bartered. You know, and even going back to old ancient Hawaiian times, that's what they bartered. They bartered salt, and it's unique. Like you said, it's how the process is, because you got some that's really clear white, and then you have some that's red. because in Hawaii, our kind of ground, our earth is red dirt. But it's the unique thing about the ground and the process that they do that. And I was just so thrilled. But the deal is not only for cooking. We use it if you had like a sore, you know, we would use that. You know, if you had if you had a sprained ankle, we would use the salt with hot water and use that to loosen up your tendons. But it's just unique. If you get the chance, I enjoyed it tremendously. And even today, I met this one gal. She, I think it was about 3 years ago, and I think it was, when did Senator Stevens pass away?
Yeah, 2010.
On there. She was one of the teams that won another senator from Washington came, and she was on their security team, but she was from Kauai. And we did a barter. You know, she coming over here to Alaska, and what we have here in Alaska are smoked salmon. So she fell in love with the smoked salmon, and so I said, okay, I'll trade you. I'll give you my smoked salmon, and you send me some salt from Kauai. And it happened. And I tell you what, and that bag lasted for several years because you don't really use too much. You just kind of, it's very unique. Go ahead.
Is it different than the Hawaiian salt?
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
Same thing. But it's just the process that they did. It really, like you said, it's not really no chemicals. It's just a natural process from the earth. And it's almost like, I would say maybe 2 miles from the ocean. And these are grounds that from the ocean, and that they dig these holes, and it just seeps up from the ground. So it's very unique on there. So if you get the chance.
Asking if they can write a check or give a credit card for a month?
Maybe a check would be fine, but I don't have that on my phone.
Okay.
So if you.
So where in Hawaii?
It's called the salt pond. Yeah, salt pond. It's actually going towards going towards Waimea Canyon. On there, it's like halfway before you hit that town, before you up to the mountain. But yeah, it's very unique.
Is it only on Hawaii?
Those, yeah. And it's kept in the family for generations and generations. That was a unique thing. And actually, I got scolded because I'm supposed to know for my culture and everything like that. So it's a real cultural thing that they're doing right there, passing on 2 generations. And me, you know, oh, how can I buy a bag of this? And that's why I said, don't ever ask me to buy a bag. Oh, I got scolded big time. But it's water.
Yeah, because I bought little bags in Hawaii.
But it's unique.
Yes.
Thanks, Robert.
You already made it? You already made it? I got
Ran out, so I had to make more, so everybody could have a little bit. And thanks to Robert, whipped it up. Obviously not going to be exactly the same as the other one, but better. All right. Who would like to, yeah, would you? And then I can start messing with this fish. We do have a fish stew on the menu tonight. So we got a few of these fish. So yeah, lots of good meat in there. You know, fish head soup is a traditional soup. But you could also get that out and do any number of things with that. Yep. Come over there. It's good to see things in their whole state, you know. We're so babied in a way that we just get our meats and things packaged for us that we don't always see it. So what I'm going to do is just slice down the spine here. I'm going to stay on the upper side of the dorsal fin, and that pretty much takes you along this the backbone, and then you'll have two nice long fillets. Just going to make a small incision to start. So I'm just starting an incision like that, and you can feel the bones right there. And then just go a little deeper. Everybody knows how to do this, right?
What do you do with the skeleton?
Yeah.
You can again make some sort of a stew, or it'll actually be pretty thick.
In Chinatown, you can buy what they call salmon bones, and you just fry them up and throw them on the grill, salt and pepper, and this. Pick at it. Because there's a lot of meat, oftentimes after people fillet, on the bones still.
I'm always open to new ideas.
They sell them in Chinatown for like $5 for about 2 of these.
There's a bunch of different ways you can do this. Obviously, you probably all have different style, but I'm just trying to go right along the bone here. So I got one side, just need to clean that up a little bit. You're going to have some bones just on the outside you need to take off, and then this is the belly.
I think I have the recipe as
A mom. We clean it. Really easy to clean it behind them.
So the belly meat is kind of the prized piece for a lot of people. You make the squaw candy out of that, smoke it. Kind of a sloppy endeavor. Somebody's got to do it. So now there's going to be about 20 to 26 pin bones. And I've tried lots of different things, but a pair of pliers works great. There's going to be a couple sticking out from the collar area.
Well, or if he doesn't apologize.
Once in a while they come out, so some people just have the wrong one. Yeah. Even
Yeah, it's a mess.
What'd you say? Just leave them in?
Yeah, just leave them in.
Sometimes they just like to break on you.
We're all Alaskans. We know about that.
That's right.
Yeah, there's a bunch of half bones in there.
Always happens when people are watching us. I'm just saying, it's nice to see somebody else have trouble get those things out.
Not easy. So then I'm just cutting into cookable size here.
I know. I know how to break them and you dig deeper. I give up. You can feel it in there, but you just can't get it. That's the one. And although I don't know the skin, I heard this one of the if I'm having guests before, it's just me.
Yeah, I don't mind.
Stays on. Oh, I should say, if it's family, they get skin. It's guests that are not family.
Go. Alright, it beats the fish up pretty well, but searing it in coconut oil will hide all the blemishes. think I'll bore you with the other side. We can all have a bite of this. Alright, let's test this hood vent out.
Oh, no, no. No, it's not. It's
So frying in coconut oil, actually the foods absorb less of the fat. So when you're eating fast food and those oils are partially or hydrogenated oils, you're absorbing more of the fat to begin with. Coconut oil is absorbed less by the food. Plus, then it ends up being good for you, and instead of causing heart disease, actually can prevent it, which is a pretty bold statement. So I like to get the smoke, or the oil just below the smoke level. And then I like to salt and pepper the pan a little bit.
Is that a medium or medium-high?
Yeah, about medium-high. Because then it kind of coats everything. Then I lay the fish down. Salt. Yeah. Yeah, you can put the flesh down first or the skin down. I like crispy skin. So, and I salt and pepper the pan. When I flip it, there'll still be salt and pepper there. So I'm kind of done with that. So you just scoop out the oil, which is easy. It's kind of nice that it's solid. It doesn't make a big mess everywhere. Tidbits are awesome. I'm looking for one that, you know, the room doesn't smoke up. So, pretty awesome equipment here, Robert. Turn my heat up a little bit. So I like to cook fish to medium rare to medium. It really tastes a lot better than well done. You're going to, again, remove a lot of the moisture content the more you cook the meat. So when you have still the pink in the middle and the tourists come up and they're like, my fish is not brown. It's actually better that way, and we have to try to educate our guests on that. So hopefully you like it that way too. You could also finish this in the oven if you needed space on your stovetop. You're cooking other side dishes. Set your oven to 350 or 400. This is a thinner piece, so a nice crispy skin on there. Seasoned with salt and pepper. I don't normally do this, but I'm going to flip it over. Because we need to portion it out here in a minute. Yeah. This is a king salmon. Yep. Full caught king. Actually out of Kachemak Bay. Every once in a while we get winter kings, and they're awesome. So a little bit of pink on the outside, about half done. So that's a good piece. Nice color on the skin. I would serve a piece a little smaller than that. You could put it on any number of things. We go pretty heavy on the vegetables, so right now we're using like sugar snap peas, Brussels sprouts, peanut potatoes, and make a mix. And you put the fish right over that. Our chef likes to make citrus beurre blanc. That goes nice. Or sun-dried tomato sauce. Yeah. We don't go too crazy with the sauces because the fish is so good just by itself, even with a little lemon. So you don't want to really drown your food. It's getting a little smoked. I'm going to turn it down. I could even turn the pans off and it will continue to cook. It's nice to have a flat bottom pan. You get an even sear. These are steel pans that we seasoned in the oven for quite a few hours, and yeah, they don't stick. But they're not coated with any weird stuff that breaks in.
Yeah.
Typically you want all your meats to rest so that the protein structure combines again. And like you notice if you cook red meat, for instance, or a tenderloin of pork or something, and you cut right into it, or you cut the turkey right away at Thanksgiving, the juices go everywhere. So if you let the meat rest, it re-solidifies the protein structure, and you don't get all that flavorful juice going out. Huh? Yeah. A lot of women in here. So there's two main restaurant supply stores in Anchorage. And one's Columbia Restaurant Supply, and the other is Anchorage Restaurant Supply. These came from Anchorage Restaurant Supply. And if you didn't know, anybody can shop there, and there's aisles and aisles of fun stuff. They both have a little bit different things. That one's not quite done. They both have a few different lines of stuff, but anyone can shop there and you'll find all kinds of stuff from pans to containers to peelers to ladles, tongs, And you can order ovens and all kinds of stuff. But of course, you get that from here, right? Yes. Oh, just a few minutes. Yep, just a few minutes. You can cut into this one here. So even for me, that's a little bit rare, so I'm just going to sear that back in there. Yep.
Oil and put it like at 250 and the other one like maybe 12 hours.
Yes, that would work.
10 or 12 hours. Then let it cool.
A little rare still. Trying to get nice color on the top too. You could serve skin up, but most people would serve flesh up. And the sides will also curl with any type of fish when it's basically done. As you can see here, the sides are curling up a little bit. Also some white, I don't know the name for it, but some white flesh will come out and ooze out of the sides, especially with halibut. And that's a good way to judge that your fish is done if you don't want to cut into it. If you cook a whole fillet, you're going to have some ends that are thinner, be more done than the middle. Coconut oil can also be reused, so if you were cooking a bunch of fish like this, you could keep using the same pan. You wouldn't have to toss the oil. Or if you had a little fry daddy that you like to use, you could keep reusing it for a while.
Getting it out on the
No, if you cool it and leave it on the stove, it'll just re-solidify.
Does it pick up the flavors of the food?
Alright, I think we're ready to plate. You can also find these at a restaurant supply, a little fish spatula. Nice. Leaves the oil in the pan. Oh, I believe we use coconut oil. My sous chef did it, and that's what we keep on the line now for our cooks. A squeeze bottle of coconut oil, and since it's warm back there, it always stays liquid. Alright.
We're going to give it another one away, right?
Now you need the plates, right?
Yep, there are those.
Put them back in the box.
They can show you.
Candace Heiner.
Candace Heiner.
That's me.
Oh, all the way on the other side. I saw you guys connecting to each other.
Oh, yeah, so that's
Thank you.
Sean, where are those plates? Sorry if you get a bone there. You showed me that. You need not a little bite. got a lot of people here, so just gonna give you a taste. So you can taste what fish cooked in coconut oil tastes like.
Just do the portion strips today.
Whatever you think.
Let's do the portion strips. Take them less space. I think those will be better. I'm gonna open this up right here.
This is a, I don't know the official name of the shape, but it's a global brand. And these are popular with Japanese restaurants. One piece of steel.
With a fork.
We'll have them on the trays.
Just in case.
The trickiest part is really
Yeah. Stretching. I'm not trying to be religious, but didn't he feed how many people with bread?
3 fish and 5 loaves of bread.
Well, little desserts.
That's because everybody else chipped in. Stone soup.
Used to fight over who got those little round balloons.
I get to start.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Two out of that.
More than two.
Okay, if I drop mine on top. Yep. Okay, good. Very good. I think I lost my cup, but now I know that it was consolidated.
We trust our we expect them, you know.
Oh, that's why. Yeah, that's why you don't get to change. Yeah, that's why. She wanted to get it. I was saying.
Yeah.
Just wanted to see how much real pink was showing. Oh, okay. Wonderful. Thank you.
So I hope she didn't know my dad.
And then by the time I got old, I had no desire. Oh, yeah. That's funny.
It was my school. I learned the family. So my boys, they were in the kitchen. Very young. But before I had them, things. And that's when you want to. Playing with the food, sometimes you won't eat it because it's playing with the food. And a mess. I just sort of sneak it aside and make sure they didn't know. Look at them on the miracle of but they all turn into good cooks. My oldest son is the one that was always done myself. That's from Thanksgiving. That's from even last night. And then I went to put it back and I grabbed it. It's been so long since I put it in the oven. I don't remember the eyeballs. You just get busy sometimes. I've done it where I list your eyeballs. Yes. Oh yeah. Oil barrel. Yeah. Yeah, I don't cook myself much.
Where did you hide those?
Yes. Reaching in and burning. Yeah, right there. This is spatter. Some of it's spatter. Oh my gosh.
Doing good? So don't forget, we have dessert coming around now.
They're about this big.
I think that was just most of the boys. I didn't realize it was a big.
Yeah, mine was firmer just from the drive down.
Yeah.
You can put it in a
I like
He said he got had Amazon
Yeah, he's saying it can be very hard if you refrigerate it. I've never refrigerated coconut oil. Neither has this young lady down here, and she was just reminding me of all the uses you can use coconut oil for. Just the easiest thing to do is replace it for your vegetable oil. Anything that calls for vegetable oil, you can just start using coconut oil. Whether it's desserts, whether it's frying foods, you could mix olive oil and coconut oil to make a dressing, and it will stay liquid. You can saute your vegetables in a soup to start, you know, anything at all. Is the idea when you substitute something that is healthier for other things that aren't, then your body doesn't have to work through that. So you live longer, and then if you get a bunch on your hands, you just start rubbing it in your hair, for a pie crust, I use the shredded coconut, and I'll mix that into the pie crust. But you could also, like I've done crusts in the blend of the Robo food processor. If you add a little bit of coconut oil in liquid form, that'll help bind up the crust as well. So, yes?
Wait, how do I need to know what sweet potato fries?
We actually use a vegetable oil, but it's non-hydrogenated. Right now, the cost of putting oil into our fryer, this amount, you know, we put about 7 gallons in the fryer. So you can imagine the expense. So part of the reason to help spread the word is that the demand goes up, the cost goes down, and then we could start doing that, and hopefully other restaurants would too. Because what happened, like in movie theaters, they used to use coconut oil, and then it was bad, saturated fat, and so they went to vegetable oil. And that's one reason I did the popcorn.
So we sell popcorn oil, and
Okay.
it's called pourable. You know, they use it for popcorn machines and fruit bars.
Pourable popcorn oil?
And would that mean that there's state
Well, it should say what kind of oil it is.
It is coconut oil.
Oh, really?
It says right.
So again, you know, with every product there's some bastardization of things. So you got to be careful because there is some hydrogenated coconut oil as well. Because there's 2 ways, from what I understand, of how to get the oil out. One is this cold press method, and you're getting oil out of the flesh. The other way, they wait for really old coconuts. And they cook them and they get what's out called copra, and it's really hard. And so sometimes there's more of a process to it.
It's used in like popcorn machines.
It's big business.
And they said they said try to know it slow. So as soon as you switch back to the coconut oil, because it's slow.
Right. But any kind of palm oil, palm tree oil is mostly better.
That was very nice.
Oh, coconut flour is another product of the coconut I didn't mention. It's very gelatinous. It's gluten-free. It's a powdered form of byproduct of the shredding process. So you can substitute it in and mix it into some recipes. You don't need that much because it will really bind things together. It's so new in my world. You just need to experiment, but it's really good. It has a nice flavor. Yep, pretty mild, it doesn't overpower it. Okay, right level of chocolate. Well, I have more salmon if you want.
I saw that double hand.
We did a 3-course meal with coconut oil, very random things. But I hope you got something out of the class. The main point I want to leave with you is that substituting some of your foods for other foods that may be more natural and closer to the source is going to do better in your body. So we're all trying to live as long as possible and not be full of diseases. So I think coconut oil is one way to do that. And if you have any questions at all, you think of something later, email me. Come visit us at the restaurant down in Girdwood, and you'll be, if you order fish there, you'll get it seared in coconut oil. Yes, please.
Just wanted to say that the fish is really moist. Oh, yeah, really good.
Good. We got more if you want.
Well, I just want to make sure, just like,
Diane, Wendy?
keep it even, you know, so that we don't, Stacy and I tend to do whatever, and then we lose track of it.
Lauren?
I think I have.
You go.
Hey! You know, you can right away.
Go down there on a weekend, because that's the only time that they have a breakfast.
Thank you very much, and we have one more floor. And that's in 2 weeks.
Here.
Thank you.
Let me know.
Thank you.